Welcome back to another trailer talk. This time around it's the new Fantastic Four film that's going to be coming out later this year, directed by Josh Trank, who some people will know directed Chronicle, which is a film that I love, so I'm really excited to see this version of Fantastic Four and see what he's done with it. So let's get into it. I'm not going to do a breakdown of the trailers today, I'm just going to talk about things that we know are going to happen in the film based on what we've seen in the trailers and some things that I've read about around the subject. As everybody knows, there have been two Fantastic Four films before. Now, the rights to Fantastic Four movies have been owned by 20th Century Fox for some time, and they're still making this one as well. The Fantastic Four, whilst still being a Marvel creation, aren't part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so don't expect any links to any of the previous MCU films we've seen already. The Fantastic Four themselves are made up of the characters Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. In comic history, they are involved in an accident which grants them superpowers. In the two previous films we've seen already, the story goes that they are in space and they got hit by a cosmic storm. In the comics, that's very similar to one of their origins as well, but also it appears that this film is being based on a series of the Ultimate Fantastic Four, which involves interdimensional travel, and it's the process of travelling through other dimensions which give these four their powers. In the trailers, we have seen a display of all four of their powers. Reed Richards, who is being played by Miles Teller, has the ability to stretch any part of his body like elastic. He can pretty much form any shape with his body at all. This also makes him nearly impervious to injury, as he is able to shape his body around incoming projectiles and punches and stuff like that, so it's very difficult to actually damage him. We don't see much of his powers being displayed in the trailers. We see him jumping over a railing at some point and it gets a bit stretchy. We also see him in a harness of some kind while he's being studied by some people, and they're twisting his arms around and then you can see his skin stretching and stuff like that. But other than that, we haven't seen much of what he's going to be able to do. Reed Richards has always been the smartest one of the group, but it appears that this time around they might be including the others to be almost on the same level as him. He is still being described as like a genius and a genius from a really young age, but at least three of the main four appear to be involved in a think tank which is based in the Baxter Building, which in the comics is the Fantastic Four's home base. Susan Storm and Johnny Storm appear to be included in this think tank as well, but I don't know how much of that is due to the fact that their dad is the one who runs the think tank. Sue Storm's powers have been displayed in the trailers as well, and as everybody should know by now, she is otherwise known as the Invisible Woman. She has the ability to turn her entire body invisible, and she can create force fields which can protect her and others from harm. They also appear to be using this second ability to give her a new skill which we haven't seen on the big screen yet. There is a shot of her and Johnny Storm flying side by side. Johnny with his flame body and Sue surrounded by a force field, so she is able to fly in this film, it would appear. Johnny Storm, otherwise known as the Human Torch, has the ability to set his entire body on fire, and he can fly, and he can shoot fire out of his hands and stuff like that. His powers are displayed quite well on the screen. There's a couple of shots where you actually see him flaming on, and there's a couple of shots of him flying around and shooting fireballs at what appears to be Sue. We don't know what's going on there, but we'll find out, I'm sure. And last but not least, we've got the Thing, otherwise known as Ben Grimm, and he's going to be played by Jamie Bell in this film. We haven't really got clarification as to how he's going to be involved in the same project that the other three are working on, because he doesn't appear to be part of the think tank. He's just Reed's childhood friend and appears to be the muscle in his relationship. So maybe Reed asks permission for him to come on the interdimensional travel with him. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So they're the main four. There's also another character involved which we've seen a couple of glimpses of in the trailer. Dr. Doom is the Fantastic Four's biggest villain and has always been. In comic history, his alter ego is Victor Von Doom, but in the film they appear to have changed that and changed his origin, and the character's name is now called Victor Domashev. It was revealed quite a while ago that the character of Victor Domashev was going to be some kind of computer hacker, but based on the trailers that doesn't appear to be true at all. He appears to be directly involved in the think tank. Whether he's a computer expert in the think tank, I don't know. That could be how they're explaining the hacker part. But he is one of the people that is going through this interdimensional travel, so I can't imagine he's just a computer expert. He's directly involved in the project that the other three are as well. It appears that Victor Domashev turns into Doom as the result of the accident which is featured quite heavily in all of the trailers that we've seen so far. At some point during the interdimensional travel experiment, something is going to go majorly wrong. There's a scene of what we think is Reed Richards crawling through rubble while still wearing his containment suit. So something has exploded, something has gone very, very wrong. I'm assuming that this is what also gives the others their powers, although they haven't really explained that. And it appears that there's more than one version of this machine that enables them to do this interdimensional travel. We can tell this because there are two groups of people. We don't know who are inside all these suits, but one lot of people are wearing white suits, the second lot of people are wearing black suits, and the two machines look slightly different. They share the same principles, having pods for the people to get inside, all based around a central point, but the first machine looks very rough, and it looks like an experiment basically, and the second machine looks much more polished. They've worked out some of the kinks from the previous one. So whether the first machine is going to go wrong and gives them their powers, and then they build a second one to go back to where they travelled to in the past to retrieve people who have maybe been lost, because as I mentioned in the trailer that only 4 survived the experiment, and if you've got Ben, Johnny, Sue and Reed as the 4, what happened to Doom? We know he survived, but where is he, and why was he not mentioned in that phrase? The second machine could just be another one created by the military or the government who they appear to be working and building it for, as another attempt to do the same experiment to get a better outcome. There's a lot of unanswered questions in these trailers. There's some kind of explosion in the middle of Manhattan where the Baxter building is based. This is probably linked to the experiment disaster, but we also see a shot of all 4 of the main characters watching a pillar of light, and there appears to be a plane flying up into it. So it's suggested that when they carry out this interdimensional travel, they open a doorway that they're unable to close easily between the negative zone, which is where they travel to, and Earth, basically. So there's obviously something bad going on, and they're having to use their powers or try and come up with a way to shut this doorway. There are a few other things which made me want to see this film. There's a couple of shots of Johnny and Sue appear to be fighting each other, so what's that about? There's also a shot of Kate Mara, who's playing Sue, leaning over someone, holding someone in her arms, which appears to be Johnny. She's crying, so whether he's been really badly hurt or he's dying, I don't know, so maybe we're going to see a death of one of the 4, we don't know. Also, as I've said before, how is Ben Grimm involved in the group? If he's just a friend of Reed, that means he's probably got a lot of leeway in this think tank because he's just able to get his buddy to come along on this interdimensional travel. What specifically happened to Victor Domashev, and why once he's turned into Doom, does he go against the Fantastic Four? In the clips that we see of Domashev before he's gone through the transformation, he appears to be working with them quite well, although him and Johnny, played by Michael B. Jordan, don't appear to get along very well. There's also a few shots which seem to suggest that the Fantastic Four are working either for or with some kind of military or government agency. They appear to be locked up and experimented on, or at least observed, when they first have their powers. But it also looks like there's some kind of training going on, and they're displaying their powers and helping them harness their powers and maybe increase their powers. We don't know. Overall, this film looks like it's going to be pretty dark, which is in comparison to the previous 2 Fantastic Fours, which I haven't mentioned for various reasons, mainly because they're incredibly bad. There are a couple of jokes in the trailers, but it still looks like this film is going to be very dark, which I think is an interesting turn for the Fantastic Four, because the previous 2, they were very bright and breezy and very jokey and generally upbeat, and I don't think they were done very well. So maybe this time round Josh Trank can actually do some good with it and turn it into a film franchise, because we already know there's going to be a sequel that will be a great success for 20th Century Fox. And if nothing else, the Thing looks really cool in this one. He's not just some guy in a prosthetic orange suit. He looks like he's genuinely made out of rock, and he is enormous. The shot of him walking towards some people shooting bullets at him and then just pinging off, that is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to see this one as well. I like the Fantastic Four in the comics, and I was really disappointed by the other 2 films. So this one looks like it's going to be a lot better. So fingers crossed. I'm running out of trailers to talk about now, so there might be a couple of review videos coming up soon. If you have any comments, leave them below. Click that subscribe button if you want to hear more. And don't forget to check out our blog, which is www.jackandthegeekstalk.wordpress.com. I'll put the link in the description below. And thanks for watching.